Good evening. I'm Cheryl Morden. This is Paul Reichler, and we're the co-chairs of tonight's event, the 2016 Annual Human Rights Award Gala. So it's our very great pleasure to extend a warm welcome to you all and to thank you for joining us for this very special evening. I know for me, this is one of my favorite nights of the year. It's the annual gathering of what WOLA Executive Director Joy Olson likes to call people with two hearts. These are the people whose hearts are in two places, who understand how profoundly the fate of our country and our communities are intertwined with that of other countries and their communities, and in particular, with that of our hemispheric neighbors. And I know for certain that this describes a great many people in this room. And many of these people have dedicated their lives to promoting understanding and solidarity across borders in the service of human rights and social justice in the Americas. For those of you who are new to WOLA, this is in fact the mission of this remarkable organization. In its more than 40-year history, it's become one of the leading advocacy and research organizations advancing human rights and social justice throughout the Americas. And we're here tonight to celebrate the committed, courageous, and connected work that WOLA and its partners do every day. Tonight's honorees, Casa Alianza and Bill and Paula Clapp, are exemplary and inspiring examples of just such courage and commitment, as you will hear very shortly. We're proud to recognize them for the work that they do to overcome the violence, corruption, and inequality that cost so many lives and drive children and families to flee Central America. I'm going to hand over to Paul. For those of you who haven't done so already, may I invite you to dig in and enjoy your salads.
Buenas noches a todos. We want to thank all of you for coming tonight and for your generous support of WOLA this year and in all the years past. Cheryl and I have had the privilege of supporting and working side by side with WOLA from the human rights battles against the military dictatorships of the 1970s, through solidarity with the popular struggles in Central America in the 1980s, and to the peace agreements of the 1990s and beyond to the present day. We have seen up close how WOLA's commitment to the people of Latin America, combined with its sophisticated policy analysis and effective advocacy, have profoundly contributed to peace and strengthened human rights and justice throughout the hemisphere, improving the lives of tens of millions. And we know that none of this work would be possible without all of you and the support you have provided throughout the years. And on behalf of WOLA, we thank you for being here. We especially want to thank our host committee, the members of which worked so diligently over the past few months to make this gala successful. Angela Arboleda, Stephen Bennett, Joe Eldridge, Lisa Fuentes, Edgar James, Catherine Kinsella, Billy O'Grand, Rachel Nild, Maria Otero. Maria Otero, why aren't you out campaigning? We need you in Pennsylvania and Ohio. And anyway, we're glad you're here, Maria. Rocio Sáenz, George Victors, Mauricio Vivero, and Bryce Harper and Jason Worth could not be here tonight, but they did promise Joy, whose heart is in two places tonight, that they would hit home runs for her. We also want to recognize some of the many dignitaries who have joined us tonight. We're thrilled to be joined by the Honorable Sally Jewell and Mark Lopez, Executive Director of the Inter-American Bank, and the distinguished members of the Diplomatic Corps, my old friend and compañero, Ambassador Francisco Campbell of Nicaragua, Ambassador Germán Rojas Irigoyen of Paraguay, Ambassador Maritza Ruiz Sanchez of Guatemala, Ambassador Hugo Cairuz, Ambassador to the OAS of la República Oriental del Uruguay, vencedor de la nefasta industria tabacalera, Ambassador Leonidas Rosa, the Ambassador of Honduras to the OAS, Andres Flores, Deputy Chief of Mission of Colombia, Ana Luis Fajer, Deputy Chief of Mission of Mexico, and Dr. Aquiles Parada, the Deputy Attorney General of El Salvador. Welcome, all of you. And finally, we want to express our special gratitude to our visionary sponsor tonight, Church World Service, as well as to Herbalife, our champion sponsor, and to Cynthia McClintock, our Defender sponsor.
Both Paul and I have had the privilege of serving on WOLA's board with the man who will serve as our Master of Ceremonies tonight. But before I introduce him, I'd like to recognize the WOLA Board of Directors, whose committed leadership has helped make WOLA one of the most effective human rights organizations around. So can I ask the board to please stand and be recognized? Thank you. You notice how strategically we distributed them all around the room. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce Diego Luna. He is truly an international superstar, an actor, producer, and director. You will know him from one of or more of his more than 24 acting credits, including Y tu mamá también, Milk, and Frida. And you will see him next starring in Rogue One, a Star Wars story, coming to your local theater on December 16th. Among his numerous producing and directing roles, he was executive producer and director of Cesar Chavez, History is Made One Step at a Time. At WOLA, we know him for his commitment to human rights and social justice. Some of you will recall that he's a previous recipient of the WOLA Human Rights Award. In 2011, the Ambulante Film Festival that he co-founded was presented the award for its work in bringing documentary films to people and places where they've rarely been shown. He's worked with WOLA on a variety of issues such as gun trafficking, violence, and migrant rights. Last year, he narrated WOLA's video that exposed the barriers faced by Mexican migrant children fleeing violence in their home country and seeking refuge in the United States. So we're very honored to have him as our Master of Ceremonies tonight, and I ask that you join me in giving a warm welcome to Diego.
Thank you very much. Good night, everyone. Oh, I was suffering for you. I'm so glad you're done with your salads. You have no idea how it feels to be here when you guys are eating and making toasts and you have to be reading this piece of paper. I am very, very happy to be here, and I promised Joy I wasn't gonna get all emotional and corny, but I am, Joy. I'm sorry, but it's been a wonderful thing you gave me, this chance to connect with this community and to be part of this organization that I think it's one of the things that makes me the proudest. I really love WOLA. I really think about WOLA a lot, and crossing the border makes me think about the importance of WOLA. Yes, I am Mexican, but I have a visa, so I'm about to say many things I believe in without the fear of being sent home. Yeah. But I promise to be very brief because I'm not the one here to be talking. There's strong voices tonight that you're gonna hear, and it's a special night. It's 400 of us here, so this means a lot. There's a lot of people doing the right thing, and that's very cool. We're here to recognize the courageous work of two of our partners, Bill and Paula Clapp and Casa Alianza in Honduras. They both have made a big difference in the life of many people in Central America. But I have to say this, and again, let me just remind you all, this represents just my opinion, no one else's. This is just me talking. But in election times in the US, we are reminded of the importance of an organization like WOLA. The existence of a candidate like Donald Trump. Yeah, I tried to say that nicely, but it doesn't sound nice. Sorry. Trump. Try it. Trump. It can't be like, it sounds horrible. Yeah, I know. But the existence of this man really worries me. And I have to admit, I went from laughing at the beginning, thinking, well, this clown is kind of funny. This is going to be over soon. But now it just freaks me out. It's clear to me that the wall he's proposing will never be built, much less if he thinks we Mexicans are going to pay for it. I mean, Mr. Trump, sorry to say, but clearly you don't know how poor my country is. We'll be able to build like a bench, really short one, just to sit and watch the sunset. And in fact, to make it clear, I went to the ATM, and it has a limit. It's just $200. Sadly, yeah. Sadly for WOLA, I mean, come on. We're hoping to find a lot of funds after tonight, and it's just 200. Well, but this 200 Mexican money, well earned, I have to say, at least legally, it's not going to go to building walls. It's going to go to tearing down walls. And I happen, yeah. We happen to be at this beautiful event to support an organization that is working on building partnerships in the Americas. These lovely envelopes you guys have there. I'm going to start. You don't have to do it now. You can wait till you're drunker and you put more money. But I'm going to do it now to make sure my money is well invested, Mr. Trump. WOLA is a good way to go. But seriously, the walls between us that Trump is leaving behind will remain even if he loses, which I hope it happens, and I really hope we wake up from this nightmare after the election and it's over. But let's imagine, best case scenario, Trump will lose and go home, feel very depressed for an hour or two, then probably he'll feel relieved, and he will go back to his businesses to run his empire, you know, keep paying, not paying taxes, sorry. Sorry, I just, I was gonna say something horrible, but no, I'm not. But he's gonna keep abusing his workers and all that stuff he loves doing. And what's gonna happen with us? The bigotry and hate that he showed will remain. And all of us will have to confront that moving forward. We're gonna have to fight all that ignorance. And it's tough times to come. But I would say WOLA is a great tool to find compassion in the hearts of people in both sides of the border. And its existence matters and gives me hope. So tonight, it's a very special night. Tonight, we can all do something. With our contributions tonight, we are showing that we care about human rights and social justice in all the Americas. That's why you have those envelopes there. Remember. And before I introduce the next speaker, allow me to say one very, very last thing. The privilege of being part of this organization, it's something that makes you wake up every day knowing you're doing something good. If you use those envelopes, really, it might look like, oh, yes, I put money. Yes, you can walk out and look very cool. Everyone will be looking at you when you throw them in the baskets. But I'll tell you, it's tomorrow that you're going to feel great. I've been feeling great since 2011, and I urge you to join me. I'm just going to mention a few very important names, our leader sponsors tonight. These guys each gave $10,000. I mean, it's no pressure, but $10,000. I'm going to ask you to clap at the end, but I'm going to say all the names. Lázaro Cárdenas Batel, which also, made sure that lovely wine in front of you is there. And you know the name of the wine you're drinking? I mean, in Trump times, it's amazing. It's called De Braceros. Come on. Who feeds this country? Who builds this country? That wine is called De Braceros and honors the hard work of that people. Thank you, Lázaro. Bill Garcia, and thank you to the Robledo family, who actually does the wine. Yeah. Bill Garcia and Al Magnotti, Louis and Nancy Goodman, Edgar James and Catherine Kinsella, Cheryl Morden and Ruben Snieper, NAFSA, Association of International Educators, Margaret Pastor, Paul and Tricia Reichler, Service Employees International Union, and Western Union. Now we can do it. Yay! By the way, you also have envelopes in front. And now it's my privilege to introduce our next speaker, and he's quite a speaker. A man whose charisma helps people find the right path. His passion, determination, and authority inspires you to get involved. He was executive director of WOLA for 12 years when WOLA first started. Under Joe's leadership, WOLA developed its distinctive style of advocacy, connecting people from all Latin America to people who are making policy in Washington and elsewhere. As Joe says, human rights is a practice of being. It's not a career, it's a vocation. That spirit has made WOLA what it is today. So please, where is he? Please help me welcome the amazing WOLA Senior Fellow, Joe Eldridge.
Did you feel yourselves reaching for your wallet as he was talking? If you ever had any question about how he finances his film projects, I think we know that now. Gracias por las palabras no merecidas, pero muy gratas de escuchar. Gracias. Well, I've kind of titled this Ode to Joy. I have been asked to say some nice things about joy. I've had tougher assignments. For the last 13 years, WOLA has joyfully flourished under her leadership, and you have probably heard that she has decided to move on. Now, there are going to be other tributes at other times, so consider this only a beginning. I knew Joy and Eric before they landed in Honduras in 1986, but we really got to know each other during those years, where they were serving as Mennonite volunteers. So a couple of Honduran stories, okay? Y'all up for that? Can we do it? Among the people they were working with were campesino union leaders who had received some very dire threats, probably from security forces. So these beleaguered labor activists were moving from safe house to safe house, and Joy and Eric's house happened to be where they landed that night. Where is Joy? Right over there. Now you can draw your own conclusion about how safe a Mennonite house is in a popular barrio. After a fretful night, at dawn, there was a knock at the door. And the people knocking were a couple of soldiers in uniform and with guns. This understandably produced a lot of commotion and anxiety until it was established that they were there because they were involved in a vaccination campaign. Now, as I understand, you don't have to be vaccinated to be WOLA's director, but it helps to have courage. If you go to Honduras today in the rural areas, you will still see a living legacy of Joy's work. Joy became one of the world's leading authorities on dry composting latrines, and she helped communities build them all over the place. Can we say that this prepared her well for work in Washington? Especially this year? So here is someone from a small town in Wisconsin, navigating significant shifts in language, culture, and gender roles, living with and developing an enduring relationship with communities afflicted with poverty, crime, and violence. Deep bonds were established, and I'm going to mention one in particular, Flor de Campo. It is still a violent place, so Joy made sure that the board's insurance was up to date before she took them there for a board meeting a few months ago. Trust is a key ingredient when you think about Joy's leadership. Joy is beloved by the staff, and you don't have to be around WOLA very much to recognize how deep and abiding and genuine that affection is. She has taken seriously the opportunity to mentor the millennials, the new generation of social justice and human rights activists. The staff will be quick to point out that she's a problem solver. She is fascinated by problems. She finds one that others have overlooked. She realizes that the best answers to a concern are not always in her head, because her point of departure is the well-being of the people. It's hard to love a region, it's too abstract. Her love for the people, however, is very concrete, and she never forgets on whose behalf she does what she does. She understands the necessity for driving out the bad with the good, and she doesn't curse the darkness. She lights candles, lots of candles. Her preferable working style is co-creation. But when a situation calls for it, she can be stubborn. As one staff person told me, she expects your best work because these issues deserve no less. She is ridiculously unselfish. According to her development team, she is always willing to promote others and share fundraising intelligence with peer organizations. She goes out of her way to introduce groups she admires to WOLA's funders. Now, let that sink in. Sit with that a minute. She figures that by cultivating the whole garden, the harvest will be more abundant. So why has she been so successful? She puts the mission of WOLA first. One staff person said she will miss Joy's righteous indignation. She doesn't do the convenient thing, she does the moral thing. She may be grouchy and tired sometimes, but she is steadfastly realistic and hopeful and never cynical. And she is leaving WOLA at the top of her game. Joy, come on up here. You can come up here. Now, wait. Okay.
I thought you were done.
No, I'm not done. Maybe I'm done. You remember the Eagles classic song that says about Hotel California? You can check out, but what? You can never leave. Once a WOLISTA, always a WOLISTA. Will all the WOLISTAs who've passed through the doors of WOLA please raise your hand? There are a lot of you around. Once a WOLISTA, all a WOLISTA. So we're here to celebrate and convey with genuine affection Joy's dazzling work over the last 13 years.
It's always a bad idea. It's always a bad idea to speak after Joe, and even worse after Diego and then Joe. You would think after this many years I'd have more control over things like this, but I don't seem to. But for the past 13 years, I've read the newspaper every day and seen challenges to human rights and social justice in the hemisphere, and it's been my job as WOLA's director to try and do something about them. And I know what a privileged position that I've had. And this being my last gala, I have people to thank. First, Eric, my husband. You've put up with a lot and could not have been more supportive, and it's been a real gift to me. I want to apologize to you, Paul Reichler, and any number of other people in the room for scheduling the gala on the fifth game of the playoffs. And just let you know that I'm completely fine with using the MLB app as long as it's on mute. All right. Yeah. Next, I'd like to thank my better half at work, Jeff Thale. I can't see Jeff, but everyone should know that Jeff, there he is, that Jeff and I really run WOLA together, and we've done that for the past 13 years, and this has been a great partnership, and I thank you for that. What I'll miss most after the 1st of January is my team, and there are too many of you to name. So, team, I want to thank you for trying so hard every day. And maybe not everybody gets this, but I consider trying to be incredibly important. And I am so impressed with the programs and organization that you have built, and I have been lucky to work with each and every one of you. And when people praise WOLA and what it is today, they are praising you. Senior fellows, another group. You have all chosen to lend your enormous talent to this organization, and for that I am incredibly grateful. Steve Bennett, thank you for leading the search for my replacement, wherever you are, Steve. And for being my sounding board, hey, for many years now. And Cynthia McClintock. Cynthia, ahí está. Thank you for agreeing to chair the board. It is a somewhat thankless task, and I'm aware of that, and I really appreciate it. And finally, the board of directors. You're the ones who gave me this job, and you have given me the support that I've needed to try new things, to grow the organization. And I want to thank you for not just your support for WOLA, but for lending all of your personnel talents to WOLA as well. What we've achieved over the past 13 years, we have done together. What I'm most proud of is that we've chosen to take on hard issues, and we've accompanied courageous people and stuck with them. So I want to highlight just a few of the issues that we've tackled. We've helped people understand that corruption and violence created by organized crime is a human rights issue. We worked with colleagues in Guatemala as they created the CICIG, a first of its kind UN investigative body that accompanied the public prosecutor in Guatemala. The CICIG created space for change, and that space was seized upon by Guatemalans who are now prosecuting the last president and vice president for corruption. Amazing, just amazing. And this has been a catalyst for change, not just in Guatemala, but for other countries in the region. And I now hear Mexicans and others saying, if Guatemala can do this, why can't we? Cuba. I'm known for saying that advocacy work is more of a slog than a march toward change. And US-Cuba policy certainly falls into that category. Dramatic improvements have been made in US-Cuba relations, but it took decades. And we are not finished. Congress has to lift the embargo, and WOLA will not stop until it's done. Drugs. I'm very proud of the work that we've done on drug policy, and I think that's part of WOLA's work that is less publicly known. While drugs can hurt you, so can drug policy. And that's something that we can do something about. We have moved past the war on drugs into a new era, and WOLA has helped create a scaffolding of relationships, research, and sustained dialogue upon which drug law reform in this hemisphere is being built right now. Colombia. This is a difficult moment in Colombia. The peace accord referendum was rejected by a small margin. It was painful, but we have worked in support of peace and human rights in Colombia for more than 20 years. And this is a temporary setback that only makes us double down in our commitment. Last week, thousands of Colombian young people filled the streets of Bogota demanding peace, and it just really filled me with hope. And on migration in Central America, long before the 2014 spike in the number of Central American children and families crossing into the US, WOLA had developed programs on youth violence in Central America, border security and migration. And we've helped put the causes of migration, violence, and lack of opportunity on the map. And we worked with shelters in Mexico to document and draw attention to the abuse of migrants, and gotten the US to stop deporting Mexicans in the middle of the night back to dangerous border cities. We supported the increase in US aid to Central America, and now are leading an effort with colleagues in Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala to monitor the reform of public security and justice institutions as a way to combat chronic corruption and violence. I know that WOLA will keep growing and innovating. It will remain courageous, committed, and connected in the struggle for human rights long after I vacate my seat at the head of the conference room table. WOLA will always have my support, and I hope it will continue to have yours as well. Every person in this room has inspired me and supported me and WOLA over the years, and I want to thank you. Thank you. Now, on to the theme of this evening. I need to introduce a short video, but this is really heavy material for a gala video, so I want to give you a little bit of context. When slogging through the day-to-day of policy reform, it's really easy to forget what matters, the people who are actually affected by the policies. So earlier this year, Cristal Mucino, Jeff Ramsey from our communications staff, and a Mexican filmmaker who Diego introduced us to, Carlos Perez, who's with us here tonight, went to Honduras, and they interviewed kids who had tried to migrate to the United States. Kids that had made it to Mexico, but were deported back to Honduras. Now, get this next part. US and Mexican migration policy has been built around keeping Central American kids from migrating to the United States. The children that you are about to see are the targets of that policy. As you watch this video and hear these hard stories, I want you to consider this question. If we are creating public policy with these children in mind, would the results look like this? And if not, what needs to change? Because that's the goal of our work.
¿Por qué la gente aquí en Honduras no quiere mostrar su rostro en la cámara?
¿Por qué tiene miedo? La gente tiene la experiencia de que personas que hacen declaraciones o que cuestionan algunas cosas, tanto de delincuencia como de gobierno, son perseguidas o son asesinadas. Eso está claro.
Honduras es un país que se ha convertido en una fábrica de migración irregular de niños y de niñas por los altos niveles de pobreza, por las pocas oportunidades que hay para los niños, las niñas en educación, en salud, en salir adelante. También por los altos niveles de violencia que sufren y por los altos niveles de corrupción. Esas cuatro cosas o esas cuatro causas en su conjunto provocan que la gente no solo no tenga aquí los recursos para salir adelante, sino que haya perdido la esperanza de encontrar una respuesta en este país y por eso están saliendo cada vez a edad más temprana.
Y el muchacho, él, lo que quería, él me decía que si yo era la mujer de él, que no me iban a matar y que no me iban a hacer nada. Y yo le decía a él que no, que yo no quería hacer eso. Y él, desde ahí él me empezó a amenazar y me empezaron a golpear.
Cuando estuve en la calle mataron a mi hermano hace poco, hace como unos 3 meses que entré ahorita, hace como 3 meses mataron a mi hermano ahí en el Hato. Una masacre de 5 personas que hubieron herido.
Luego ellos, una amiga mía, tenía 13 años, la mataron. Gracias a Dios que yo estoy viva porque ellos me llevaron a ese lugar y me pegaron, me pegaron 2 balazos y yo, por esa situación que yo tuve, yo salí del país.
Yo tomé la decisión de irme para México y yo me fui. Cruzando ahí en la frontera, con un man a México, me asaltaron. Soy víctima de México.
Cuando yo iba ahí en Veracruz, los Zetas agarraron un compañero que iba con nosotros.
Y cuando llego a México, me iban a llevar a una casa para prostituirme. Y sí, tuve problemas con esas personas. Y entonces yo me escapé de esa casa, hice todo lo posible por escaparme.
Yo iba escapando, eso iba haciendo yo, escapando. Sí me tocaron bastante. 2 de ellos. Bastante daño, tocándome varias partes que nunca imaginé por qué.
Yo sé que la vida aquí es dura, aquí en este país, más cuando nosotros dependemos de familia de escasos recursos, y que luchemos, que aguantemos cuantas cosas, que algún día pues vamos a llegar a salir de eso, vamos a encontrar nuestra felicidad.
the U.S., Mexico, and Honduras need to do much more to protect these children. The last young person shown in the video said, "One day we will succeed and find our happiness." If he can have hope, how can we not embrace the same? Hope in action is what I see in both of tonight's awardees. The images you just saw are from the heart of Tegucigalpa, outside of the doors of Casa Alianza. The interviews were conducted with kids at the Casa. Casa Alianza is a shelter that protects children and adolescents. They support youth who have fallen victim to violence, sexual exploitation, human trafficking, substance abuse, and as you've seen here, deportation from the United States and Mexico. Casa Alianza is not just a shelter. They also go into communities working with families to prevent and disrupt cycles of violence. They also address public policy and have created an observatory to document what's happening in education, healthcare, migration, and violence as it relates to kids, as a means of trying to affect public policy. Casa Alianza challenges the status quo, and for that reason, it is not unusual for them to receive threats. Last year, WOLA's board of directors visited the Casa and met some of the children there. Young people who were studying, who have hopes of becoming someone, who rely on their mentors at the Casa to overcome challenges. And every day, Casa Alianza changes the future of children, and in doing so, betters the future of Honduras. In recognizing Casa Alianza, WOLA also commends the courage of Guadalupe Ruelas and his staff. They work selflessly, oftentimes at the expense of their own personal security. Guadalupe, please come to the stage, as it is my honor to present you with the 2016 WOLA Human Rights Award.
Hi. Muy buenas noches. Me siento muy feliz y agradecido de estar aquí con ustedes, con quienes compartimos la preocupación por la difícil situación en mi país. Quiero agradecer y dedicar este honroso reconocimiento a todos los niños y niñas de Honduras, que día a día luchan y sueñan contra toda adversidad por una vida digna a la que tienen total derecho. Gracias a Joy Olson y a todo el equipo de WOLA por honrar a Casa Alianza de Honduras con este prestigioso reconocimiento. Gracias a Covenant House International, a Kevin Ryan, a Peggy Healy y a todo su equipo por apoyarnos a cumplir esta misión. Gracias. Gracias también al comprometido equipo de Casa Alianza de Honduras, que junto a las niñas y los niños realizan una labor tan maravillosa. En Honduras, este trabajo es absolutamente necesario. Las niñas y los niños en Honduras atraviesan por una situación dramática. La pobreza, la falta de oportunidades, la violencia y la corrupción están haciendo mella en su vida. Debido a la falta de políticas sociales y económicas adecuadas, Honduras se ha convertido en una máquina de sufrimiento, de miedo, de muerte, de migración irregular para las niñas y los niños. Honduras es hoy un país peligroso para ser niño o para ser joven. Donde hay miedo, no hay confianza. Y donde no hay confianza, no se puede construir comunidad, ni sociedad, ni paz, ni desarrollo. Ante este miedo, los niños huyen. No buscan un sueño americano. Huyen de la pesadilla hondureña. Nosotros, en Casa Alianza, nos sentimos llamados a proteger y salvaguardar a todos los niños y niñas de esta situación, especialmente a los niños desamparados que sufren en la calle. Pero en Casa Alianza también sabemos que si queremos que las cosas cambien, tenemos que cambiar nosotros. Sabemos que si queremos prevenir la violencia, debemos invertir en prevención y en la construcción de una sociedad nueva. Debemos invertir en fortalecer capacidades comunitarias, en restablecer el tejido social, en recuperar de forma pacífica los barrios y territorios. Hablamos de la participación de todos los actores comunitarios y estatales, incluyendo arte, cultura, salud, educación, deporte y seguridad. Por el contrario, cuando el Estado habla de prevención, habla eminentemente de militarizar los barrios, las calles, los colegios, los autobuses, los hospitales. Estos militares llegan a los barrios y ven a los otros como su enemigo. Ven a las jóvenes y los jóvenes pobres como sospechosos, los empujan, los maltratan, los interrogan, los intimidan y en varias ocasiones, además de reprimir, ya han asesinado jóvenes. Por ello, estoy convencido de que la ayuda militar a Honduras ha sido y es directamente proporcional a la violación de derechos humanos de jóvenes, mujeres, indígenas y campesinos e inversamente proporcional a los intentos y programas de prevención. Como dijo mi compatriota Berta Cáceres, asesinada con la participación directa de militares, es hora de que despertemos. Hay casos que nos dan mucha esperanza. Hay gente comprometida en Honduras que está contribuyendo a una sociedad más justa. Vemos el impacto de su trabajo todos los días. Jóvenes que hace 6 meses consumían alguna sustancia, hoy están sanando y obteniendo calificaciones de excelencia académica. Jóvenes víctimas de trata, de desamparo, de violencia, tienen hoy un proyecto positivo de vida y son excelentes deportistas, artistas, emprendedores y han logrado reintegrarse a sus familias o emprender una vida autónoma. Todo esto con solo brindarles una pequeña oportunidad. Estos niños necesitan que el gobierno haga cambios y tenemos la esperanza de que los haga. Y aquí es donde nos encontramos con WOLA, quien conoce los resultados de programas como los de Casa Alianza, pero también conoce el resultado de la aplicación de políticas inadecuadas a nuestra situación y por ello hacemos incidencia para mejorarlas o cambiarlas. Que vivan los niños, que estudien, que crezcan, que sean saludables, que sean felices y que encuentren en mi país su patria. Ese es nuestro sueño. Para cumplirlo, todos tenemos que hacer nuestra parte. Muchas gracias.
Ay, cabrón. I was gonna say so many stupid jokes, I'm just gonna not say them. Not after what we just watched and witnessed, and I told you we were gonna listen to strong voices. We need to raise another $60,000. I'm gonna move to the point. We have to raise a lot of money for WOLA to continue to work against violence in Central America this year. I know it sounds like a lot, but we're 400 people here, so I say we can double that amount easily. Not really. I mean, come on. How much is that in your life? How much it means in your life? And how much it means in the life of these kids to have an organization like this? It just makes no sense, the world we live in. So let's start to draw the attention where it matters to projects like this. You have those envelopes in front of you, and it's pretty simple. Basically, these things, if you forgot your wallet, or you didn't bring your checkbook, or you don't have a credit card, guess what? You're not gonna get away. You just have to write your name, all your details, the amount you wanna give, which it's very important that you put it. And then someone will call you tomorrow, and probably will take 30 seconds, 1 minute of your life, and will get the money from you and make sure you go back to your life as fast as possible. It's gonna take seconds, really. So there's no reason why you shouldn't give. The amazing interns will be out here with the baskets I told you about. You just have to drop it there and boom, like that. It happens fast. I personally, and I'm just gonna tell you this, I give to WOLA because I know who they are. I know they are one of the most effective organizations advancing human rights. And I'm reading this because I don't speak English that well, but I wrote this, just so you guys know. You can help WOLA by sponsoring research, delegations, you can advocacy campaigns, by promoting better policies. We can help millions of vulnerable children in Central America. So really, let me, I'm gonna make a toast to get you drunker and make sure you use those envelopes. I wanna make a toast for an organization that believes in building bridges and not walls, for an organization with people that is willing to work in order to send the message that if the Americas work together, pretty soon we'll be living a better reality, a better world. Thank you, WOLA. Have a great dinner and see you in half an hour. Salud. Hello. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What a wonderful dinner, right? It was good. And there's a lot of people working in the kitchen, so we can have this dinner. So why we don't give them a round of applause? Not just those cooking, but those serving us. Thank you very much. And the staff here, you've been amazing. This has worked for the whole night, which is weird in a celebration like this. Normally these things go wrong, so thank you. I just want to, I had to say this is wrong, what I'm about to do. But I took this envelope from Joy without her permission, just to say Hugo Cairus I don't know who Hugo Cairuz is, sorry. But probably you guys know. Can I ask you to stand wherever you are? Hugo Cairuz? Who's Hugo Cairuz? Oh, no, you're going to hide? Oh, there you go. Thank you so much for this. Thank you. I'm not going to open it. I don't want to make people feel bad because it feels heavy, by the way. He's done it. Why don't you do it now? Anyway, we're now going to resume the program and to present our final award of the evening. I would like to introduce someone very special. I met her last night. We had dinner, these beautiful pupusas. It was like an interesting place because we arrived and I had cantinflas, and it was like a mixture of Central American and Mexican culture all there, and I felt like so welcome and at home, and I realized that was Joy's favorite restaurant. Yes, she takes it personal and serious. I mean, she means what she says, you know? So we have these pupusas and we chat for quite a long time. Am I saying it right? Sí, ¿no? Pupusas. Ah, muy bien. Well, so I met her last night, and I haven't stopped thinking about her since last night. And I know that sounds dodgy, and I should have wrote it differently, but I'll tell you why I haven't stopped thinking about her, because we spoke about the case of the 43 students missing in Mexico and the obstruction of justice she witnessed. I could see in her eyes the frustration and the commitment and the passion of someone that really cares. And just so you know, and you understand who I'm talking about, she's been nominated for the Nobel Prize, the Nobel Peace Prize, and she's known as the prosecutor of dignity. Claudia Paz y Paz es su nombre. I know. I am gonna join that one, even though I don't want her to come to the stage yet, because I just want to stop, like, I mean, it's not an artistic name like we use, you know, in our business. When you give your kids a name, oh my God. Claudia Paz y Paz, come on. Obviously, she is this amazing person that has done so much. What a reminder, Paz y Paz. Imagine, oh, hey, I'm Claudia Paz y Paz. Who are you? Fuck, you go like, oh, shit. I am now no one, basically. Well, Claudia led the team that brought the case against former Guatemalan dictator, General Efraín Ríos Montt. And yes, she tried him for genocide in a national court. This is historic. This is huge. She's basically the shit. She's the best you're gonna get in this stage. So please help me welcome this amazing woman, the wonderful and also WOLA Senior Fellow, Claudia Paz y Paz.
Muy buenas noches a todos y a todas. Gracias por esas palabras, Diego, y gracias por esos aplausos. Good evening to all of the friends who are with us tonight. For me, really, it is a great honor to present this year WOLA Human Rights Award to a man and a woman I truly admire for their generosity, solidarity, and commitment to the people of Central America. They are both visionaries who understand how people and situations can change when there is trust. When Bill and Paula Clapp first visited Central America in 1992, they went to El Salvador. There they saw, understood, and felt the poverty in a country that is so close to the United States. As Bill Clapp said, it was the situation of our neighbors. Confronted with that reality, they decided they could do something to change an unjust situation. The vehicle they believed could help transform people's lives was microcredit, a tool that supports and empowers people. In 1994, Bill and Paula founded Global Partnership. What first started as a microcredit program in Guatemala has now grown into a leading investor serving 13 Latin American and Caribbean countries. As of 2015, it has invested $170 million in 83 partners, reaching over 3 million people. They opened its first office in Africa last year and is now serving 4 different countries. But the clubs are more than philanthropists. They engage citizens, organizations, and governments to change unequal relations in our countries. And I do believe that this is what is really important. They had helped create this series of settles internationally renowned culture of philanthropy, working with other local leaders to found the Initiative for Global Development and Global Washington. In 2008, they launched the Seattle International Foundation. This foundation works to reduce poverty and promote equality in Central America by supporting high-impact organizations in the areas of leadership, development, research, and public policy. At a time when so little U.S. philanthropy is directed to Central America, they are catalyzing others to direct much-needed funds to the region. I met the clubs in Guatemala when I was the Attorney General. At that time, we had brought together all of our services for women survivors of gender violence: doctors, psychologists, social workers, prosecutors, judges, and police officers to work in only one office. We want the system to revolve around these women rather than having them run from office to office, seeking justice and protection. Our achievement was making this new office work 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. But we lacked of something fundamental. We needed resources to break the economic chains that bound these women to their aggressors. The clubs share with us a common commitment. With their help, we designed a program to provide women access to dignified job training and employment. This program is in progress today in Guatemala, and it is a clear example of innovative solutions to complicated problems. The clubs have been essential partners to WOLA, founding some of our most important projects in Central America to help reduce violence and promote accountability. Like WOLA, they believe the need for policy advocacy and structural change to address the root causes of poverty and migration. They are hopeful for the future of Central America, and they give us hope through their support and solidarity. They are an inspiration for us all. It is my honor to present Bill Clapp, the 2016 WOLA Human Rights Award.
It is totally unfair to have to follow somebody that I look up to so much as Claudia. It's Claudia and so many people like her that inspire us in our daily work. And Claudia, thank you so much for your kind words. WOLA, thank you very much for this kind honor. My better half wishes she could be here, but she unfortunately hurt her neck and shoulder here a while ago, and she just can't sit in a plane that long. But nobody's more disappointed than she is, because we have so many friends that we wanted to see here, and so we're delighted to be here, and I wish she could be here, and she'll be here in spirit. Now, I said, well, if I have to follow Claudia, I have nothing to say of value whatsoever in comparison. So I asked Diego, what the heck do I do? So he asked me, to share with you this simple idea. So we're all here to celebrate WOLA. WOLA is a wonderful partner of ours. We're from the other Washington. It's a Washington where I think we get things done a lot better. And we're very proud of our community. The Seattle International Foundation, obviously, is headquartered in Seattle. And it's a community that has had an open heart for many, many years. Whenever there's been refugees to be resettled, the people of Seattle have opened their arms. We were the first place to make amends with Japan and China. The first office outside of the UN that the Russians established was not in Seattle, in Bellingham, Washington, of all places. We brought in many, many refugees from the wars in Southeast Asia and from El Salvador and other places during those unfortunate wars. So I'm very proud of the community we belong to and invite you all to come out, or better, just move your programs out to join ours. We're one of the only communities that has an association of people who work in developing countries around the world. And our membership is made up of nonprofits, businesses, universities, and foundations, and we have 160 different organizations, work in virtually every corner of the world, in almost every field that you could imagine, from land rights. Landesa is here tonight, one of our very proud organizations that came from Seattle. PATH, Health in Health, what's that? Gates, yeah. But so we're very proud of the organization. We're very proud that one of my partners, before she became so famous, one of my partners in starting one of these organizations is now the Secretary of Interior, Sally Jewell, who's sitting at my table. And I remember when we were starting the idea, we all trooped to Washington, D.C., and it was snowing and the weather was terrible, and we were going in for meetings there at the White House, and kind of like, are we really here? is this all working? It was quite an experience for us all at the time. So what should I say? Seattle International Foundation carries on the work that my wife and I started in 1992 1992. Actually, our path started in 1992. She and I go back to high school, by the way, so we've been together. And we really, when we were running global partnerships, which was focused on microcredit, although during that time we did work with some education programs in Guatemala, children's programs in El Salvador, and some health programs in Guatemala, and even went into the favelas of Brazil with computer training programs, working with an organization down there. So we were kind of, but mainly microcredit. So what do we do after I'm out of work at Global Partnerships, because we found somebody much smarter than myself to carry it on, who's done an incredible job with it. We weren't finished with El Salvador. We weren't finished with Central America. Why is that? You know, there's only really one thing that kind of we keep coming back to as we think about what we're doing down there, and it's the early days. The early days when we met and spent time with people in villages, heard their stories after the war, listened to what they've been through, got to know them, and we did this every year, year after year. We were taking groups down of potential donors and supporters. We were taking congressmen down, but we'd make an occasional stop at an embassy or talk to somebody very interesting who could give us a different perspective, but we spent our time in the villages meeting with borrowers and their families and their kids, and those relationships, those faces are still so alive to me. And I think now, heck, it's 20-some years later, what happened to those kids that we met that were 5 and 6 years old? What has their life held for them since that day? It's a little bit like Maria's son, who was spending time in Honduras and working with children, was able to finish his college here, thought, my gosh, isn't this wonderful? I got the world by the tail. I've got all this fabulous education. But he began to think about all the kids that he had worked with in Honduras. And so since then, he's gone back, started a program, put 800 kids through college, if you can believe that or not. But you can't help but think of what opportunities they have had or not had in this time. We hold conferences annually for, we call it the Central America Donors Conference, and we bring together donors, donor agencies, think tanks, people who have invested time and energy in Central America and in the future to talk about what's working, what's not, what each other's doing, what we can learn from one another. And there was a Guatemalan gentleman at the conference a week and a half ago who said, you know, the poverty rate today in Guatemala is exactly the same